As the season began, the Detroit Pistons cherished memories of championships and dreams of a three-peat. But suddenly, the scene of so many celebrations has become hauntingly solemn. Down 3-0, they know that no team in NBA history has overcome that deficit to advance in the playoffs. Do the two-time defending champions have what it takes mentally and physically to turn it around? The answer lies deep within their souls. Are the veteran leaders able to reignite the Piston pride that has been synonymous with their teams of the past? Can the greatest postseason performers in recent years rise above these seemingly insurmountable obstacles? Or will frustration smother the spark they need to stay alive? Instead of hanging on to past glories, the Pistons must first focus on today.
Ready to rotate up. You ready to rotate up?
Michael at the foul line. A shot on the air. Scores! The Bulls win!
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1991 NBA playoffs. Today, Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Chicago Bulls and the Detroit Pistons.
This, the 151st consecutive shutout, 21,000 at the Palace of Auburn Hills, and they have come out to root for the home club to extend this series. They are hoping that this is not the Pistons' final game of the 1990-91 season. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, along with Phoenix Suns coach Cotton Fitzsimmons, pinch hitting for the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello. And Cotton, for the Pistons, it has now reached the point of desperation. We asked head coach Chuck Daly, what can they do differently against the Chicago Bulls? Well, Chuck says, first of all, they will start Mark Aguirre instead of Dennis Rodman. What's your reaction?
Well, Marv, the reaction I have to that is he realizes he doesn't have enough offense in the first quarter to get himself off to a good start. His defense hasn't been able to hold up for him, so Rodman will go to the bench because the Bulls have not been guarding Rodman.
And the Pistons also say they will lay off the Scottie Pippen jumper more frequently than they have in the past.
Well, all he's really saying there, he's going to back off of Pippen, make Pippen hit the jump shot outside. They're going to keep their hand up, but they don't want him to penetrate their defense.
And also, you can look for more subtle changes in philosophy concerning defending Michael Jordan.
Well, the entire series, they've been trapping Michael Jordan. And Jordan has been killing the trap, not in just Game 3, but all the games. Michael spreads out the Detroit defense to the point where they're too far away from the Bulls in order to recover and get back to their man. So if Jordan's going to keep doing this, all I expect him to do today is to help on it. And what they're going to do is let Michael have his day, but try to keep the rest of the scorers on the Bulls down today.
And the rest of the scorers on the Bulls have really been hurting the Pistons right throughout the series. For more on the Bulls, let's go over to Ahmad Rashad.
All right, Marv, I spent considerable time in the Bulls locker room, very business-like attitude. I talked to Michael Jordan. He said, our goal at the beginning of the season was to win the NBA championship, but we had a couple of points we wanted to make on the way. One was to let Detroit know that they've got to get through us and that rough, aggressive style of play will have no effect on us. Michael said, if we are able to beat Detroit today, we will have made that point with an exclamation mark. And by the way, Marv, Michael was in such a fiery mood, he said he will be all over that court today.
All right, Ahmad, when we come back, Game 4 of the best of 7, and the season is on the line for the defending NBA champion, Detroit Pistons. An 81-degree warm and humid day in the Motor City. A look at the Palace from indoors. And they are greeting the introduction of the Detroit Pistons. The Chicago Bulls lining up with John Paxson, Michael Jordan in the backcourt, Horace Grant, Scottie Pippen up front, and at center, Bill Cartwright, who has done the job for the Bulls right throughout the series, and the head coach of the Chicago Bulls, Phil Jackson. For the Detroit Pistons, Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars open at the guard positions. James Edwards and Mark Aguirre are at the forwards. Aguirre in the starting lineup instead of Dennis Rodman, who will come off the bench. And Bill Laimbeer, who has not been able to get into this series, will open at center. And Chuck Daly, winningest coach in Pistons history, telling us there will be quite a bit of shuffling here today. We'll see more of the three-guard alignment that was very successful for the spurt of Detroit in Game 3, in particular with Vinnie Johnson on the floor. The officials, Mike Mathis, Joe Crawford, and Bennett Salvatore. And this crowd is certainly in it as Crawford gets set to throw it up. The Detroit Pistons controlling the tip as Thomas works against Paxson. Aguirre at the baseline cut off by Grant. Edwards. Yes.
I tell you, the move that he made just paid off because they had to double Aguirre. And it freed up Edwards for the easy shot.
And Chuck Daly telling us he wants to get Edwards off early. They have not been able to get him off at all. Paxson lost it. And Pippen able to recapture. Opening minute, 2-0 for the Detroit Pistons. And apparently, the officials, Joe Crawford and Mike Mathis, in a discussion regarding the shot clock, just as the Bulls were moving back down court, and they are looking to reset it.
Well, it's interesting that they went to Aguirre first, but it really paid off for James Edwards because when Cartwright went down to double Aguirre, Edwards stepped right at the free throw line and buried it.
And Edwards played only 9 minutes in Game 3, taking just 2 shots. Pippen from long range. Well, we said they may lay off on that outside shot. I'm not so certain. He's been hitting it throughout the season. Aguirre off the spin. And the Pistons lead 4-2. Now Pippen taking it right at Aguirre. Paxson. Yes. You were kidding John Paxson earlier about the lack of scoring during this series. And John said, what are you talking about? I'm not getting the shots. Aguirre hitting on his second. Pistons lead 6-4.
Chuck Daly is a genius right now because he started him, and that guy's accounted for all 3 buckets. He's made 2, made the assist on the other.
Mark Aguirre's done a nice job coming off the bench in the 3 previous contests. Here is Jordan with his first attempt. Isaiah with the pull-up. Paxson this time gave it up. Pippen's pass picked off by Dumars. In this entire series, the Pistons have led for a total of 3 minutes, 31 seconds. They were ahead for all of 16 seconds in the game on Saturday afternoon. Out of a possible 144 minutes, here's Pippen tying the game at 6.
A transition basket, and I'm sure Chuck Daly does not want the Bulls to get into a transition game on them because they can run and score.
Thomas with the penetration. Isaiah Thomas provided the spark on Saturday to help the Pistons get back into it after the slow start. He had 13 of his points in the third quarter for the most part from the foul line, but he played well, although we know he is hurting. Oh, nice move by Pippen, and he's tied the game at 8.
Again, Chuck Daly worried about it yesterday, the fact that Aguirre would have to guard Pippen, and that really bothered him.
Pippen has opened up 3 for 3 from the field. McGuire got the step, but lost it. And here comes Jordan. Michael Jordan going glass, and the Bulls take a 10-8 lead. On Saturday afternoon, Chicago opened up with a 24-8 first. Dumars, yes! Joe Dumars has been very quiet over the first 3 games.
The Pistons have really opened up aggressively on offense, which they haven't done in the past. And I think that's the way Chuck wants them to play.
Here's Cartwright. And Bill Cartwright gives the Bulls a 12-10 lead. While the Detroit centers, Lambeer and Edwards, have been silent. The combination of Cartwright and Purdue have done so well, but James Edwards has opened up by hitting his first 2 this afternoon, and the game is tied at 12. Chant of defense from the crowd, and the whistle underneath. Joe Crawford with the call away from the ball. It's a hold on Lambeer.
You could see the play away. Lambeer is going to put their bodies on them hard. And I think the officials are saying the same thing they did in Game 3. We're not going to have it.
And Cotton, both clubs have come out shooting well. Chicago 6 of 7. Detroit 6 of 8. Thomas for Lambeer. Beautiful pass to the cutter. Bill Lambeer, and the Pistons lead it 14-12. Pippen, and he was hacked by McGuire. So Scottie Pippen will go to the free throw line.
The Pistons are really pushing the ball down the court, and you see something we very seldom see. Bill Lambeer coming down on a hesitation fast break and lays it in beautifully. The Bulls were just asleep on the play. But again, at the other end, we got a real problem. McGuire is having trouble with Pippen here early in the first quarter of staying with him.
And that is the downside in that matchup. You know, Mark McGuire is in there to prevent, as you mentioned earlier, Chicago getting off to that early lead. Detroit needing the scoring punch, but at the other end, he's going to have problems.
In order to get something, you have to give something, and that's what's happening here early. But I know that Dennis Rodman can come in and do the job. Right now, Chuck's more interested in having a good first quarter offensively.
Game is tied at 14. Dumars. 5 minutes gone by. And Pippen again for the jump. Well, they try to double up on Thomas, and the blocking foul called on Pippen. That is his first. Timeout has been taken with 6:54 remaining in this first quarter, and the crowd responding to the early play of the Pistons. Bulls knock off the Pistons today. Michael Jordan claims that the whole league will rejoice over the demise of the so-called bad boys. Strong words from Michael, saying people want to push this kind of basketball out, talking to the roughhouse style. I don't feel we're overconfident, but says we want to kill this ball club.
He not only wants to win the game, he wants to put the Piston style of basketball in the background, and let's go with a more open, fluid game and not so much physical attacking as the Pistons have done the past 2 years.
What's your feeling about their style of play?
Well, it's fine for them. I don't think it's fine for the league. I never have. I thought it needs to be open. Let's give the Pistons credit. They deserve the championships.
All right, here's Edwards. Lambeer. Going, we are seeing a difference with the play of Lambeer and Edwards. Very much into it. And the Pistons have taken a 16-14 lead. Jordan. Illegal defense call. I'll check that. A foul on Dumars. Joe Dumars called for the push.
Hey, you're going to see here trying to get to Michael Jordan. They hacked him on the arm. He was ready to pass it off. He wasn't going to shoot it.
stopped by Jordan, who is at 2 out of 3. He has 4, and the game is tied at 16. Over the years, Cotton, has Detroit's style of play bothered you?
Bothered everybody because they've been winning. Nobody wants to be beaten up physically, and they don't want to lose the ball game. Not only are they a physical team, they're a good team. They do a fine job of winning.
And as Aguirre looked to make the move to his left, a push call on Grant. Now they change the call. It's Cartwright. No, Cartwright is hit with his first.
They're really battling hard, the two big guys in there. And that's, of course, what Edwards is going to have to do to get open.
Foul on Paxson, who did not like the call.
Well, nobody likes to run into Lambier, period. First of all, not many people like the guy. He's an outstanding player, but you don't want to run into him. He's a big guy.
And Dumars able to find Lambier, blew the layup. Jordan went down trying to draw the foul. The officials did not go for it. And here's Michael dumping it off, but it was broken up. Good play by the Pistons. Cotton, I get the feeling that Lambier over the years has motivated himself by his anger. I don't think he'd be the same player if he did not present that attitude.
Well, without a doubt. Lambier, every coach in the league would love Lambier. He is a coach's dream. He'll do whatever it takes to win. And we're seeing the officials now really take charge of this bumping.
Second foul called.
This is the toughest one of the day. And Cartwright finds himself in serious foul trouble now and has to stay down early, and he lets Mike Mathis know it. He doesn't like it. But again, that's Lambier's psyche. Lambier will psych everybody out until they do foul him.
Cartwright sitting down. Will Perdue has come on for the first time. He's matched with James Edwards. Lambier, he's got the touch here in the first quarter. He has 6 points. He had not been hitting the outside shot, and that had really hurt the Pistons in this series. Detroit leads by 2, just under 5 minutes remaining, first quarter. On the box out. Thomas put the move on Jordan, and he drew the foul.
I don't believe I've ever seen the Pistons more aggressive on offense than they are today. I mean, they're really taking the ball to the basket. The only guy I've seen tentative on the floor taking a shot has been Joe Dumars. I thought he had a shot earlier and turned it down. The rest of them are taking their shots.
I think Joe is thinking about his rhythm because he has not had a good series. He has struggled with the outside shot. Timeout called by the Bulls. 4:37 remaining in this first quarter. It's the Pistons by 3.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Palace here at Auburn Hills. I'm Ahmad Rashad. Now, during that last timeout, unlike Game 3, where there was a lot of wild emotion, the Pistons were very calm and collected. And Isaiah Thomas told me if we can get this team into a half-court basketball game, we have a chance to win, which they've got them in that half-court basketball game. Marv?
All right, Ahmad, and Isaiah Thomas on the line, ready to shoot his second free throw. The Pistons lead it 19-16 with 4:37 remaining in this first quarter. So a 4-point Detroit lead, and pressure by the Pistons. Isaiah nearly picked it off.
The Pistons are alert today.
Pippen off the pick from Perdue. And Perdue was hit on the arm by Aguirre. That is the second personal for Mark Aguirre. Prior to the game here on Saturday, the Pistons had won 13 of 15 against Chicago here at the Palace. Bulls winning the first 2 in Chicago, and then the 113-107 win on Saturday. Jordan and Lambier with a quick outlet. Try to catch the Bulls, but they got back. Dumars try to shoot his way back into it.
Well, he's too good a player not to take those shots. He has to keep taking the shot.
Shot clock at 8. Pippen. Oh, beautiful move by Scottie Pippen off to the fast start. He has 10 points, and the Pistons now lead at 20-18. Pass overthrown, intended for Edwards. It will be Chicago ball. Never in NBA playoff history has a team come back from a 3-0 deficit. That's what the Pistons are facing here this afternoon. Grant getting inside. Grant on the rebound, and he's tied the game at 20.
The quickness of Grant, the quickness of Pippen is still showing up in this series, where they just get their hand on the ball, they play a little volleyball, and then they get the rebound and lay it in.
Horace Grant comes off a solid performance, 17 points, 8 rebounds on Saturday. Thomas giving Detroit a 2-point lead with just under 3 minutes to go in this first quarter. Paxson and Jordan in the backcourt. Pippen, Grant, and Purdue up front. Nice play. And Lambeer taking a shot at Paxson, who did not like it. John Paxson went back at Bill Lambeer. He did not like the shot given by Lambeer. Certainly unnecessary.
Well, Paxson also was the player that was running into Lambeer earlier, and he just did not like it all. Paxson is really upset, and now Joe Crawford has put the tee, and I believe he's put the tee on John Paxson. You know, Joe Crawford's one of the top officials in this league, and it's important that he keeps his cool, because sometimes he loses his cool when he gets upset with the players, and he is an outstanding official.
You sound like you've had some personal experience in that area.
I've had personal experiences with all of them.
Well, apparently he has now called a double technical on Lambeer and Paxson. The personal foul was charged to Isaiah Thomas. The late hit was given by Lambeer. He got Paxson for the tee on the retaliation. And Paxson is on the line off the foul committed by Isaiah.
Paxson has him beat, and Lambeer really hit him and hit him hard. So they made it tough for him to make the bucket, but Pax handled it.
So the game is tied at 22. 2.5 remaining in this first quarter. Edwards with the open shot. And Mike Mathis indicating a loose ball foul against the Bulls.
Loose ball foul.
It's called on Grant. Chicago over the limit.
Well, you could see a lot of wrestling going on down under, and Grant pushing Aguirre out of there gives Mark an opportunity to cash in at the free throw line, which he does on the first one. I tell you, both teams are very active this first quarter, and you can tell this is a desperation game for the Pistons, because they haven't played this way in any of the other first quarters that we've had in the series.
I would think from the Chicago point of view, we touched on this yesterday during Showtime, Phil Jackson's major concern has to be that his club might be too loose, overconfident. No signs of that here in the first quarter.
Not at all. They came out, felt comfortable in their shots. They feel confident. The first quarter has been Pippen trying to exploit Aguirre.
And Michael Jordan has laid back here in the first quarter. Paxson, and with Jordan low-keying it as he has successfully throughout the course of the playoffs, although he's been getting his points, he has been able to get the rest of his teammates into it. Foul on Edwards. The push on James Edwards gives the ball back to Chicago.
Another offensive foul. The big guys trying to get their position down low. It's been a struggle for James Edwards in this series. As you can see, he backs in. I'm not certain about that call. I'd have a hard time with that one myself.
Crowd reacting to the replay up above, and now Joe Crawford has called a technical foul on Detroit assistant Brendan Surr. There is Brendan
coaches to get tees. You don't want the head coach to get a tee. And again, I think Joe Crawford is really pumped up in this game himself.
And apparently he's also hit Chuck Daly, so double technical on the Detroit Pistons on Brendan Surr and Chuck Daly.
And now Chuck will have to tread water very lightly because he wants to stay around for the end of this game.
By virtue of the technicals, it's a 26-24 lead for the Chicago Bulls. The shot clock with 16 seconds, a minute 50 to go in this first quarter. It has been a heated quarter. Technicals called on Lambeer, Paxson, Chuck Daly, and Brendan Surr. Paxson wide open. Yes. And John Paxson has hit on 3 out of 3 with 4 for 4 from the line. He has 10 points. The Bulls lead by 4. Illegal defense called for the first time. It's on Chicago, and Detroit will get the new 24.
Well, that's the first illegal defense, and you know, it makes it tough for the Bulls, but they're going to stay after them all the way.
You can see what has occurred over the first 3 games during the course of the first quarter, where the Chicago Bulls have gotten off with first. This 4-point edge represents their biggest lead, so not the case here today. Again, Paxson open. 30-24, Chicago, and Paxson burning it up with 12. Here's the trap. Dumar's in trouble. The Pistons have not been able to solve the trap. Timeout has been taken. He was 2 seconds away from a backcourt 10-second violation.
And he took a 20-second time very wisely by Dumars. But there's no assurance that they're going to be able to throw the ball into the front court. I know that the Bulls are going to be after him, and after him tough. They did a great job of surprising Dumars. He totally backed up on this. He had nobody to throw the ball to. A wise timeout by the Pistons. And now they'll have 2 seconds to try to get the ball into the front court, or it will be a 10-second violation.
Phil Jackson and his staff have used the trap so effectively they will spring it on the opposition, and the Pistons have not been able to solve it.
They've been able to keep the Pistons off balance all series.
John Paxson, incidentally, has scored the Bulls' last 10 points. Isaiah Thomas. And he was looking for the foul as he hit the deck. And the Bulls get the new 24. Here's Grant. Oh, beautiful move. Able to hang and extend off the block attempt by Lambeer. And the Bulls with an 8-point lead off a 16-4 run. Thomas, he's been way off, but Lambeer back. His 4th field goal, he has 8. The Bulls 32 and the Pistons 26, down to 20 seconds to go in this opening quarter, and the Bulls will hold for a final shot.
Lambeer has been really tough on the offensive board. That's 3 of them he's put back in.
Purdue battling his way. Final seconds, Grant tried to save it, but he stepped down. Detroit ball with 2 seconds to go in this first quarter. The Bulls lead it by 6. Lambeer picks it, picked off by Pippen, able to get it off. A good run by the Chicago Bulls in the latter stage of the first quarter. And after 1, they are in front by the score of 32-26. Excellent start for John Paxson, who had come into this game averaging just under 5 points per game against the Pistons, but not the case here today.
No, he opened up with a good first quarter only because they decided to double team Michael Jordan. We're going to see Lambeer come over and double team him, and it's really going to open it up for John Paxson on the weak side. Jordan spread the defense, balls over to Paxson. That happens to be his shot. He loves that shot, and anytime he can get that shot, he'll bury it.
And he's hit 4 out of 5 for his 12 points in all. Pippen with 10. Substitutions for Detroit. John Sally, Dennis Rodman have come on. Cliff Livingston on the floor for the first time. Vinnie Johnson also in the lineup. The Bulls lead by 6 as we get started in the second quarter. Jordan from deep. Michael Jordan has connected on 3 out of 5. That from downtown. He has 7. And the Bulls now lead 35-26. Detroit with Isaiah Thomas and Vinnie Johnson in the backcourt. Foul called on the Bulls. James Edwards up front with John Sally and Dennis Rodman. John Sally coming off a strong game on Saturday. Will Perdue was called for that foul. Sally set the pick. Vinnie Johnson had the hot hand in game 3. Isaiah from deep. Yes. Isaiah Thomas with 8 points, and the Bulls now lead by 7. Edwards jumping out to help. Perdue wide open, and he was fouled. So Will Perdue, taking advantage of the mismatch, was hit by Sally.
That's what happens to you when you try to concentrate too much on Michael Jordan. It is going to leave a lesser scorer open. And in this quarter, first quarter, they didn't concentrate on Jordan that much. This quarter, now they're starting to concentrate on Jordan, and that will open it up for Perdue. That will open it up for Paxson. It'll open up for Grant and even Cliff Livingston, guys who normally don't score a lot.
What was your philosophy in trying to defend Michael Jordan when you go up against him?
Let Michael Jordan get his, try to stop the rest of them. And I know for a fact Michael got his. He scored 52 one night in the stadium, but the Phoenix Suns won the game.
How'd you make out against the Bulls this year?
We split games with them.
Foul called on Perdue. That is his second. Cartwright took a seat early after picking up 2, and now Bill is coming back. And Perdue will sit down. This is a non-shooting affair. And Sally will put it in at side court. Thomas had it deflected. Livingston on the rebound. Here's Jordan. Met by the double team. And Jordan fouled by Thomas. No, they say Sally, a combination of Sally and Thomas, and it was John Sally called for the personal.
Very aggressive drive by Jordan, but also a very aggressive drive defensively. And I don't know why they would complain on that call. 2 guys grabbed him on the arm. And Michael deserves to go to the line on this one. A lot of times I don't agree with the official with Michael Jordan. They put him there too many times. That particular play, let him go to the line. He earned it.
And Jordan, 85% free throw shooter. Minute and a half gone by in the second quarter, and the Bulls now lead by 9.
Very tough drive. You see Sally grab him, and then Isaiah comes over from the side and really grabs him on the arm. But when your back's to the wall, you'll ask for everything, and that's what the Pistons are asking today. The Bulls took the Pistons' best shot in that first quarter and still turned them back. The Bulls look like a tough team.
And they lead now by 10. This is their biggest lead. Johnson came off the pick, but Jordan right with him. Edwards hit the deck away from the ball. Here's Sally. And back come the Bulls. Paxson. Crowd looking to urge the Pistons on. They got off to the good start, but they've fallen back. And Johnson stripped. Dumar's off the Thomas off the steal. Oh, what a play by Isaiah. Able to recapture and then able to hit. So the Bulls lead at 38-30. Shot clock down to 7. Jordan. Edwards missed timing as the rebound went high off the glass.
The quickness of the Bulls to the basketball. That's been the story of the series.
Livingston, oh, he hits the jump hook. And I have a feeling that shot has Chuck Daly wondering, perhaps this is not our season.
What can we do to stop him? When Cliff Livingston posts up low and turns and jump hooks on you, it means it could be a tough day for you. But I'm going to tell you, the Bulls are playing sensational, and the Pistons will not give it up easy.
And Livingston has played well in this series, been getting the opportunity after a very quiet regular season. Pistons down by 10 with 8.5 remaining in the first half. Edwards with the fadeaway. James Edwards with his third bucket. He has 6. The Bulls 40 and the Pistons 32. Cartwright feeling around for Edwards. Horace Grant has seen the outside touch return the last couple of games. He now has 6, and the Bulls again by 10.
That was a very good move by Cartwright. I was afraid he'd try to force a shot because Edwards hit one on him. Instead, he passed it off, and they got an easy shot.
Sally, and he was blocked. That will put him at the foul line, but first, a timeout call. Foul was called on Grant. We'll be back in a moment. Well, Chicago Bulls coach Phil Jackson has made the point many times that he feels the Detroit Pistons get away with too many physical tactics, a subject that we discussed with Phil.
Well, I think Wesley Unseld said it well a couple years ago. He said, now that the no fighting rules in effect in the NBA, it takes the bully and makes him even a bigger bully because you can't protect yourself. In past times, guys could, initiate a fight, and the fight in itself at least created the activity. Now, if you initiate the fight, you're not only thrown out, but you're heavily fined and might be suspended. In those days, you had to stand up for your rights, and you could without getting in trouble, from the league, from the officiating, from whatever else. But now it just makes the teams that can bowl, it can be more muscular, even be more so, because now they can threaten you into a situation. What are you going to do about it?
Well, of course, Cotton, Phil in his days as a member of the New York Knicks, late 60s and through the 70s, a pretty scrappy player himself.
I think that in those days, I think he's talking about exactly what went on. You did protect yourself. But today, the commissioner says there'll be no fighting. And I think I have to agree with Phil because it will make the bully a bigger bully. I think we've seen that in pro basketball.
Phil said before the series he felt that there is a National Hockey League mentality about the Detroit Pistons. Of course, as we discussed many times, the Pistons look at it in a different manner. Their philosophy is they're playing hard-nosed basketball. It's all a matter of point of view. It's the Bulls 42 and the Pistons 34. 7:20 remaining. In this first half, Marv Albert, Cotton Fitzsimmons, and Ahmad Rashad from the Palace. Sally goes to the hook. B.J. Armstrong handling. He just checked in. Armstrong and Craig Hodges now in the backcourt. Cliff Livingston, Bill Cartwright, and Scottie Pippen up front. Beautiful backdoor pass for Pippen, and he is walloped. And that will be a flagrant foul. And it's getting very, very tough out there. Again, an unnecessary hit taken by the Pistons as Scottie Pippen was racked up.
Again, I think that's what Phil is talking about. And that's what Michael Jordan's talking about. They just don't want to see that in our basketball game. He already had the guy beat to the basket. And then there was a real hard foul, a great backdoor play that the Bulls love to run, and they really let the guy have it. And then Rodman did push him.
Yeah, I think that's a clear-cut cheap shot. No question, clear-cut.
That is a cheap shot, and it should not be allowed. And the officials are doing what they're supposed to do right now. They are calling. The only other thing the official could do is make the same call and then could eject Rodman from this game. That could happen. And if it continues to happen, I think that's what you're going to see. They're going to stop it. They're not going to allow that type of flagrant foul.
Foul was called on Lambeer, and you'll see the combination of Pippen goes to the drive. It's Rodman from behind and Lambeer from the side. The Chicago Bulls bench started to make a move toward the court, led by Phil Jackson.
And now Mike Mathis is telling both teams, you better straighten this out and clean it up, but we're not going to put up with it.
Bulls lead it 43-34. Here's Hodges on a quick release. Livingston with the tip.
That was a big-time offensive rebound. Cliff showed his great athletic ability on the boards.
Cliff Livingston, one of the quicker jumpers in the NBA, which also provides difficulty for the Pistons. Vinny Johnson. Rebound, John Sally. That is the advantage of Sally, who is very, very quick. And look out, Pippen and Rodman looking to go at each other. Now, in the past, I know the Pistons have felt they could take Pippen out of his game with rough play. He has been smashed a couple of times during the course of this rivalry, and you know the story of the famed migraine headache suffered by Scottie Pippen. There's another look at it.
You can see right there, Marv, that he is really getting physical. And I think what has happened is this. I think that the frustration of the Pistons is really coming out. The fact that they can't get the job done.
Timeout has been taken. We'll be right back. Well, the Detroit Pistons in recent years have been known as the bad boys, although in a conversation we had with Chuck Daly earlier this season, he said, hey, that's no longer the case.
When we lost Rick Mahorn, Isaiah Thomas announced in front of President George Bush in the White House that we were no longer the bad boys. And people didn't believe him, but gradually that's pretty much been the case. I wish we were more physical than we are, quite frankly. I think we'd be a better basketball team, but we aren't quite the same team that we were 2 years ago in that respect.
Well, I don't think the Chicago Bulls would agree with that assessment by Chuck Daly. The bad boys very much back into it here in this first half as they try to get themselves back into this ball game. The Bulls lead it 45-36 as we come up on 6 minutes remaining in the first half.
I tell you, it's been a tough game for the officials to work thus far, but I think they've got it under control, but they're concerned because of the rough play.
Well, their first major decision is Vinny Johnson is not able to hit. Scottie Pippen on the rebound. If anything else breaks out, I think their decision will be, do I eject someone? And that is always difficult in the playoffs. Here's Livingston. Joe Dumars has returned. Dumars putting the spin on Armstrong and then throws one. Not a good shot. Dumars on the follow. Dumars picked off by Pippen. Crowd wants a backcourt violation. And a timeout is called by the Bulls. Pippen taking the 20-second timeout. Down to 5:19 remaining in this first half, and the Bulls lead it by 9.
This was after the confrontation, and you can see Rodman trying to impede the progress of Pippen. And I'm sure the officials are watching him very closely like the NBC cameras are. And if they see Rodman do anything, they're gonna get rid of Rodman because he's already got one tee, I think, today.
The Bulls going with a backcourt of Armstrong and Hodges. Cartwright, Livingston, and Pippen up front. While Detroit with a front line of Lambeer, Sally, Rodman. Johnson and Dumars in the backcourt. Isaiah Thomas and James Edwards getting set to return. Cartwright squaring up on Lambeer. And Joe Crawford blowing the whistle. The basket will not count. Foul before the shot attempt. Away from the ball on Rodman.
Well, as we can see here, they're just wrestling for position, and Rodman just will not let him move, and he is impeding his progress, and I think they're going to call a foul on Rodman real quick on this play. I think that one was called a little bit tight on Bill Laimbeer right there. I think the officials are concerned about losing control of the game.
A technical foul has just been called, and that is on Rodman. That is his first technical. Earlier, Laimbeer was hit, as was Paxson, Chuck Daly, and Brendan Suhr, all hit with tees. And Craig Hodges hits the tee.
Marv, I think it's just the frustration, the fact that the Pistons are down 3-0 and they haven't been able to solve any of the mystery of the Chicago Bulls. The score is 46-36, and they are frustrated because they haven't been able to stop the Bull offense. And the Bulls have been able to slow them down, even though they started an offensive team today, as Pippen hits the first half of the free throw.
Well, let's go over to Ahmad.
On the rivalry between Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman, these are two players that certainly do not like each other. Scottie Pippen told me before the game that he thinks Rodman is one of the cheap shot artists in the league. He tries to do some cheap stuff, then pat you on the behind and say, come on, let's play ball. But it's all in the guise of the cheap tactics. Marv?
All right, Ahmad, and Pippen hitting 1 of 2 from the line. He has 13 points with just under 5 minutes remaining in the first half. Laimbeer, yes, and it counts. Bill Laimbeer will go to the line. He's fouled by Cartwright.
A great penetration by Isaiah, certainly a pass off. I think you got to say that Bill Laimbeer has stepped up big today. I think everybody was questioning Laimbeer, and he's really into the offensive flow of the game today. He's already picked up like 3 offensive rebounds, put them back in. That time when Isaiah penetrated, you didn't see Laimbeer out on the wing looking for that 3-point shot. He was around that basket. He is really playing well today.
Cartwright called for his third, and he sits down. The rookie from North Carolina, Scott Williams, has checked in. Michael Jordan returning. And Laimbeer with a 3-point play. So the Bulls now lead 47-39. Marv Albert, Cotton Fitzsimmons, Ahmad Rashad from the Palace of Auburn Hills. Cotton sitting in for the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello. Mike on special assignment, auditioning for a color analyst job for American Gladiator. So he's been very busy today. The steal by Thomas and the foul call. It's against the Bulls. It's on Williams. They are in the penalty. Isaiah to the free throw line.
I think we're going to see inexperience on Williams' part. He loses the ball, then he reaches out and grabs Isaiah Thomas. The reason Williams is in the game, I think that Phil Jackson is really concerned about his centers and their foul problems and the way this game is going. So he is really concerned about it. So Williams is in there right now to protect these other centers from getting into what we call serious foul trouble in this first half.
And Scott Williams has passed by Stacey King in the rotation. Cliff Livingston departs. Horace Grant makes his return. The Bulls by 7. What has been a hard-hitting first half. Sounds like we're talking about football or hockey. Shot clock at 5. Shot clock at 2. Pippen just did get it off. And it will be Chicago ball. Last touch by Laimbeer.
It's interesting that with all the wrestling and everything that went on, it really has thrown the Bulls off of their game. I thought they had this game under total control, but now it's more like a Piston game.
And that has been the philosophy in the past. One of the reasons that the Detroit Pistons have been able to eliminate the Chicago Bulls from the playoffs the last 3 years, the last 2 in the Eastern Conference Final confrontation. Scott Williams getting inside. Nice setup from Scottie Pippen. And the Bulls lead it by the score of 49-40. Edwards and Williams battling, and Williams called for the foul. Scott Williams signed as a free agent out of North Carolina as a senior with the Tar Heels. He averaged 14 points a game. Will Perdue now replacing Scott Williams. Will Perdue picked up 2 early fouls. Cartwright sitting down with 3. Edwards to the free throw line for the first time. James Edwards has had an injury-hit season, bothered by lower back problems right throughout. This is the first game this series that both Edwards and Laimbeer have been offensive factors. 7-point lead for Chicago. Perdue called for steps. And the Pistons showing some signs of getting back into it.
It's their type of game right now, although they haven't been able to score enough to get back on top. That'll be their problem right now.
Straight up!
Isaiah and BJ having a conversation as Thomas was moving it down. Good play by Jordan, but he couldn't control, lost it out of bounds, and the Pistons will get it back with 8 on the 24. Mathis counting it off. McGuire just did get it in. Here's Vinnie Johnson, and he's been off. He's 0 for 3 here at the start, and he finally hits. Vinnie Johnson with his first field goal. The Bulls 49, the Pistons 44. Pippen. And Grant got it back for Jordan. Michael Jordan with his 4th field goal. 11 points in all. The Bulls lead by 7.
Every time it looks like the Pistons are coming back, the Bulls come up with a second shot.
Bulls continue to double up. And they foul on Aguirre. That is his 3rd. Mark discussing it with the official Joe Crawford. Timeout taken. We'll be back in a moment.
Pat Riley at the NBA Showtime studios in New York. Coming up at halftime, Pat's views of the first 24 minutes.
And Bob, why the officials are not allowing the Bulls to play their game? It has nothing to do with the Pistons.
Also at halftime, a live interview with Trailblazers coach Rick Adelman, a report from Paris, the scene of the French Open, and of course, the shootout. Right now, back to Marvin Cotton.
All right, Bob. And with 2:24 remaining in this first half, the Bulls lead the Pistons by the score of 51-44. Vinnie Johnson came up big in games 1, 2, and 3. Off to a slow start, 1 for 4 thus far today, but Vinnie a streak shooter and at any time can catch fire.
He really can, plus the fact they went to Edwards and Laimbeer early.
Again, the crowd looking to urge on the home club. Jordan posting up on Dumars, and he was hacked. Michael Jordan will go to the foul line. It's on Dumars. That is his 2nd.
Edwards was late getting there. Jordan stepped through the trap, and Dumars caught him as he went up. Michael is just too tough to cover down in a low post area for one man. That's the time they do have to trap Michael and double team him. And when that happens, some other people on the Bulls will be open.
Michael Jordan admits that he did not have a good one in game 1, although he did get his teammates into it. Game 2, the 35-point performance, then 33. Mike Mathis getting between B.J. Armstrong and Isaiah Thomas, and apparently they had some words.
Not really. What the official thought was that Isaiah was moving down close to Jordan to be a distraction on his free throw when he missed the first free throw. I think Michael must have asked the official to move him out.
And the Bulls now lead 52-44 as we come up on 2 minutes remaining in this first half. Will Perdue jumping out on Vinnie Johnson. He's able to penetrate and hit. 6-point Chicago lead. The Bulls led by as many as 11. Pippen with the open shot. Oh, look out. Thomas went down hard. Apparently he's all right. Here's Isaiah. Jordan from downtown. Bulls have hit a drought period. It will be Detroit ball.
Really took a tough fall, but Isaiah got up. He was lucky he wasn't hurt on the play. He probably was hurt a little bit, but Isaiah feels he's the heart and soul of this team. He is holding that right wrist a little bit.
Edwards going straight to the hoop. It's a 2-on-1. Pippen. And the Bulls lead 54-46. Scottie Pippen, high man with 14 points. Edwards getting excellent position and then hit by Perdue. That's 3 on Will Perdue. And the Pistons taking exception with the hit by Perdue.
Good hard hit, knocked him out of position, and Edwards used the drop step and really upset Will Perdue. But did you see Michael Jordan walk over and say, just cool it, Will, everything will be all right. We're going to try to get out of here with the win, as Edwards hit the first of the two.
Greg Hodges checking back in.
And Jordan immediately, he will go to Perdue and say, cool it, don't worry about a thing, everything will be all right. And I think that's important. That is really some good leadership on Jordan's part.
John Sally being waved on. And the hand for Bill Laimbeer. Played well, leads with 11, hit 5 out of 7. Also pulled down 5 rebounds. 51 seconds remaining in this first half. It is game 4 of the best of 7 Eastern Conference Final. The Chicago Bulls gunning for a sweep. The Detroit Pistons hoping to send it back to Chicago for game 5 on Wednesday. Here is Armstrong, B.J. Armstrong, local product out of nearby Birmingham. Hit the big three-pointer in game 3 and just able to hit one from deep, and then B.J. comes up with the loose ball. 25 seconds remaining of the half. It's the Bulls by 8. Tom Costas, Pat Riley coming up at halftime back at our New York studios. Jordan playing the shot clock down to 3. And Grant was fouled with 7 9/10 seconds to go in the first half. Horace Grant will go to the line. He was hit by John Sally, so Sally has collected his third.
I tell you again, it's the quickness to the ball. Jordan he thought he was fouled underneath on that particular play, shot a rare air ball, but it was the quickness of Horace Grant getting to the ball before a Piston. And again, I think that's been one of the real keys in the series, has been the front line quickness of the Bulls in comparison to the size and strength of the Pistons up front.
You can see what that front line of Chicago has done in this series. Pippen, Cartwright, and Grant have been outstanding and outscoring the Piston front line in severe fashion. 57-48. Bulls with the lead. Down to the final seconds of the half. Sally for Edwards. He has the shot and hits with 1 second to go in the half. 7-point Chicago lead as Scott Williams fires one. So a heated first half A first half that saw 5 technical fouls handed out by the officials. The High Point man, Scottie Pippen with 14, 12 apiece for Michael Jordan and John Paxson. James Edwards leading Detroit with 12. We'll be back right after these messages.
57-50 at halftime, going for the sweep. The Pistons have reversed one trend. We told you about how badly outscored their front line has been. They made a substitution. They have Aguirre in for Rodman as a starter. 11 for 17 combined, Lambeer, Edwards, and Aguirre. That's 65% from the floor. They've outscored the front line of the Bulls in the first half, 31-21. But a more revealing stat, the unofficial Showtime cheap shot scoreboard. If, in fact, the Pistons are going out today, they're going out in a blaze of bad boydom. We have 8 cheap shots for the Pistons to 1 for Chicago. Cartwright weighed in with the 1 Bulls cheap shot. We got Rodman with 5, having an outstanding first half, and Lambeer with 2 cheap shots.
Wow, where did those stats come from?
We have a crack staff, as Marv is wont to say.
It's not about being physical today, obviously, Bob. It's not about intimidation. It's not about aggressiveness. What it's about, more than anything else, is to try to provoke the Bulls to sort of get out of their game. Now, we have a couple of pieces of tape here that's going to show exactly what I'm talking about. This shot right here is nothing more than a hit, a hard foul carrying to the 10th degree right there. This is nothing more than something that will show the officials that they mean business. It's an obvious call. Down here is more provoking. Right here, there shouldn't be any of this kind of contact. Provoke, provoke, provoke. And I think what you have to do is realize that some of the things we can't see right now, you cannot see the play away from the ball. And every time the Bulls have the ball, 5 guys foul. And the theory is that the officials can't call every guy for a foul, so it takes them right out of their offense. The Bulls got flattened out for a while, but right here, I think you're seeing the Chicago Bulls of the future. It hasn't bothered them because they're still 7 points ahead. So they're being provoked and they're hanging tough right in there.
All right, now let's look ahead, not to the second half today, but to tomorrow night's game in Portland. Yesterday, the Lakers overwhelmed the Trailblazers, beating them by 21 to take a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals. Dick Enberg and Steve Snapper Jones are out in Portland for Game 5, which they'll call tomorrow night at the Memorial Coliseum. They're live right now with Blazers coach Rick Adelman. Take it away, Dick.
Bob, all is quiet on the Western Front at the moment. The Lakers are going through a shoot-around now. The Trailblazers have completed their practice. It wasn't quiet last night. To give you an idea of the support that the Blazers get in this community, some 500 fans were there to greet Portland back from Los Angeles after those 2 almost humiliating defeats at the Forum in Los Angeles. And as you look at the faces on the Trailblazer faces at the end of the game yesterday, well, you have to have a sports psychologist to interpret that. What are they thinking? Well, we'll get it firsthand from the head man himself, Rick Adelman. Rick, you start the season, you win 19 out of 20, you finish the year hot, 16 out of 17. But in between in March, you lost 8 out of 11. I guess that's the one relationship we can make to your position right now. What did you tell them then when you were losing to get out of it?
Well, I think it was very similar. You know, suddenly the wheels don't just come off in 2 short games. Or back then we were playing some good teams in the road and we weren't playing as well as we were earlier. But I think we have to get back to the basics of what makes us good, and we haven't been doing that. We've been very impatient offensively, trying to do it all too quickly. And against the Lakers, you're just playing into their hands. You got to give them credit. They've done a very good job defensively. But I just feel that we're a much better team we've showed, and I believe this team always responds, and they're going to respond tomorrow night.
All right, Rick, you know, game 2, you had one defensive adjustment.
It's tough even on the announcers here in Portland.
That's right.
They're really getting tight here up in the Northwest.
But you had that one defensive adjustment that Buck Williams did on his own, and that seemed to key the aggressiveness of the defense. We haven't seen it since then. Will you go back to that kind of play game 5?
Well, I think we have to be aggressive defensively. Actually, Buck did it once yesterday, and Perkins made a 3. That's kind of the way it's been going for us. So I think we have to be aggressive. We got to be aggressive at both ends of the court, be very active. And I don't think we ever gave ourselves a chance defensively. They're playing so well offensively, but the way we execute on our offensive end, they're getting open shots and they're running the ball. And now they have a lot of confidence. It's tough to come back on this team when you get 20 down. Magic's not going to allow you to do that. And I think we need to come out and be active at both ends and play with a little bit more purpose than we played in the first or the last 2 games.
All right, America wants to know, are there going to be any changes? Are there going to be any changes?
Well, when you're down 3-1, I think you better do something. Again, you know, the wheels just didn't come off. I think we have to execute better and we have to play with some purpose. But we will change some things. But the way things are going, someone probably already knows about it right now.
All right, Rick, thanks for being with us. Good luck tomorrow. I know that crowd is going to make your team play. Bob?
Okay, we'll have the broadcast with Dick Enberg and Steve Jones tomorrow at 9 Eastern Time here on NBC. Game 5 from Portland. Right now we call a timeout. When we come back, we head over to Paris and check in with Bud Collins on the first day of play in the French Open. And then, as promised, the Riley Costas shootout. The shootout scoreboard coming up momentarily. Inexplicably, I have gone cold. I could have put this man away several times. I opened 10 of 13. Somehow have missed the last 4 in a row. He, as custom has it,
Come on, Bob,
will shoot
let's
first.
Go. Stop talking.
Riley fires and swishes it home.
No net now. You got to hit nets only.
Should I fail, we'll be dead even as the finals loom. Another of your attempted psych
Take
jobs.
the pressure.
We send it back to Marv Albert and Cotton Fitzsimmons for the second half of the Bulls-Pistons game after these messages and a word from your local stations.
Welcome back to the Palace of Auburn Hills. Marv Albert, Cotton Fitzsimmons, Ahmad Rashad. Chicago Bulls leading the Detroit Pistons 57-50 at halftime. A crunching first half that saw 5 technical fouls called, 4 against Detroit. One play in particular, I'm just wondering, as we saw Dennis Rodman put the hit on Scottie Pippen, if this were a regular season game, would Rodman have been thrown out?
He would have been gone during a regular season game because he just made an extra push there. Lambier already made the foul, then he pushed him into the stand. He's gone.
Why should the rules change?
The rules should not change.
All right, let's go over to Ahmad, who has Chuck Daly with him.
All right, thanks, Marv. Coach, now you started a different lineup today, more offensive-minded, but then you find yourself down 7 points at halftime. What else can you do to try to gain control?
Well, we'll start the same way. The big problem is the offensive boards. They've captured 7 and scored on all 7 of them. When you give those up, you've got a tough route. They're too easy.
What about that Detroit bad boy image? I thought it was gone.
I don't know. They seem to have taken it over. The Bulls looks like to me. But see what happens.
All right, good luck. Good luck in the second half. All right, back to you, Marv.
Chuck with a distorted point of view, Cotton. We'll get back to that in a moment. It is the Bulls by 7 over the Pistons as we get set for the start of play in the third quarter. Again, Joe Dumars struggling, only 1 for 4 from the field for his 2 points. Look at the backcourt scoring. The Bulls have had the advantage. John Paxson got off quickly, 4 for 6 overall for 12 points. As the Chicago Bulls 21 for 42 from the field in the first half for 50%. And the Detroit Pistons 19 for 40 for 47% off the board. Chicago with a 21-17 advantage. Chicago ball as we get underway. Lambier try to front Grant. Grant took a shot. And he's hurt. Lambier wide open for 3. Pippen is fouled by Edwards.
I think you could see Horace Grant there going up and under, and he thought he got hit right on the head, which he did by James Edwards. The official didn't see it, allowed it to go, and actually Grant had to stay down at the other end, and it was a 5-on-4. Lambier pulled up for 3, but the Bulls, Michael Jordan came away with it, and now you see Scottie Pippen at the line. Another opportunity for the Pistons to cash in. They don't cash in, and they fall further behind.
Pippen is 5 for 7 from the line. Horace Grant has discarded the prescription goggles that he wore for most of the season. He felt in the Knicks series, Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley were trying to knock him off. And he said the same for the 76er series with Charles Barkley and Rick Mahorn taking aim. He said against Detroit, there's no way I would put them on because they're just going to go for them. But meanwhile, he's taken a series of shots during the course of this series. The Bulls lead by 9. Edwards setting up on Cartwright. Here is Dumars. And he continues to have his shooting problems. But as we have mentioned throughout the series, Joe Dumars is hurting. And Grant fouled. He'll go to the line once again. Dumars bothered by a knee. Chuck Daly has said on many an occasion, foul call on McGuire, that is 4 on McGuire, that he would love to reduce Dumars' minutes, but he has not been able to.
No, it makes it really tough because with all the other guys out, Joe had to play. He had to play to get them where they are today. And now I think you can tell that too many minutes is really taking its toll on Joe Dumars. There has to be something wrong with Dumars. This is not the Joe Dumars I know.
Had that toe injury throughout the regular season and also carried the extra burden because of the wrist injury suffered by Isaiah Thomas. He was doubling up at point guard and shooting guard for a long spell. And Edwards shoved by Cartwright. That's 4 on Cartwright.
And I see Phil Jackson with his hands on top of his head, and he just doesn't want his center to get that many fouls that quick. He may take him out of here soon.
Cartwright played only 13 minutes in the first half. Dumars thought he was tripped up. Shot clock at 6. Isaiah going glass, and the Bulls lead by 8. 13 for Thomas. Pippen rebounded. Isaiah's pass nearly coughed up by Aguirre. Edwards. And back comes Jordan. Lofting for Pippen. Gets to Cartwright. Oh, what a play. Beautiful pass from Pippen to Cartwright, and he did it in traffic.
It just seems like the Pistons just are struggling so much to put any points on the board. It makes it so tough for them. They're going to have to catch up soon because they cannot continue to trail this way.
Edwards. Bulls 62, and the Pistons 54 with 2.5 gone by in the third quarter. Shot clock is at 5. And a very friendly rim from Michael Jordan, who now has 14. The Bulls extend to a 10-point advantage. The double team on Edwards results in the foul on Grant.
The last 3 times down the court, with 4 fouls on Bill Cartwright, the Pistons are doing what they normally do. They're going right at Bill Cartwright, trying to get number 5 on him, get him out of the game. So far, Phil Jackson stuck with him. He's not worried about it.
Chuck Daly starting Mark Aguirre here in the third quarter. Edwards and Pippen doing the work on the box out. Here's Grant. Strong move by Horace Grant. He's hit double figures with 10 points, and the Bulls now lead it by 12. It is their biggest lead of the game. Tied up, and Joe Crawford says jump ball.
Very frustrated Piston offensive team. They really don't know where their points are going to come from. The Bulls are closing everything up. It's just a byplay of game 1, 2, and 3.
And they have not gotten the points from Mark Aguirre. Dennis Rodman sitting it out. Did not start the game. Played only 7 minutes in the first half, and Chuck Daly opening with Aguirre again. He's attempted only 3 shots, and that was early. Here's Jordan in the race with Thomas. The Bulls now by 14. And Chuck Daly wants to talk it over. So another burst by the Chicago Bulls. A timeout called with 7:55 remaining in this third quarter. Here is Jordan. Isaiah trying to get back, but Michael for 2 more for his total of 16. Well, a year ago, Scottie Pippen was haunted by the migraine headache that occurred in the 7th game of last season's Eastern Conference Final. The Bulls lost to Detroit. They were walloped as Pippen went 1 for 10 from the field. Well, Scottie Pippen, who's come up strong in this year's series, has erased the memory of last season. We talked about that with him.
It was, just something that I feel that just came over me, and I just wasn't able to produce. And, I just hope it doesn't happen again, at least in that situation. But, I think I'll be able to step forward for the big game.
And as Mark Aguirre is able to hit from downtown, the lead is cut to 68-57, but Scottie Pippen has certainly stepped forward on a number of occasions throughout the playoffs, leading the Bulls today 16 points, 8 assists, and 2 steals. Pippen getting inside. Lambier on the rebound. 7.5 to go in the third. Here is Dumars. Yes!
A very good sign for the Pistons when Joe Dumars starts to light it up, because he's the offensive spark that they need to get back in the game.
Only his second field goal. Bulls have a 9-point lead. And of defense, the crowd, Cartwright. Yes. Bill Cartwright hanging in despite the 4 personal fouls. At his third field goal, he has 6. It's the Bulls 70. The Pistons 59. Thomas and Dumars in the backcourt. Aguirre with Edwards. Lambier up front. And Aguirre got involved with Grant. Horace Grant picks up his 4-piece on Grant. And Cartwright. Purdue has 3. The foul rundown for Detroit. Aguirre with 4. Sally has 3. Here is Aguirre. Pippen sweeping by and then was stopped. Bulls get back effectively. Isaiah Thomas. Halfway mark of the third quarter. Again, the open shot for Cartwright. Grant gets the new 24. Lambier jumping out at Jordan. Putting on the dribbling exhibition. It counts, and the foul on Lambier. Beautiful ball movement to set up Grant.
I think we're seeing the Pistons have a hard time covering the Bulls because the Bulls are just too patient in their offense. Pippen had the shot. Jordan had the shot, but they held it back until they could get a layup under for Grant and a free throw as Bill Lambier picks up the foul.
That's 3 on Lambier. And that was assist number 9 for Scottie Pippen, leading to the bucket by Horace Grant. It will be Detroit ball. Cliff Livingston being waved on. And Horace Grant sits down, leaves with 12. John Sally has returned. So the Bulls now lead at 72-61. Michael Jordan tripped up. Foul committed by Edwards.
He's just so tough to cover. Look at Edwards falling down. All he can do really is tackle the guy. He is just too quick for him, and it really creates havoc with the Piston defense. He is splitting every trap, every help situation.
Nice fake by Jordan. Goes to the scoop. 18 for Jordan. The Bulls 74 and the Pistons 61. Aguirre from downtown. Good play by Pippen to get in his face. Here's Dumars with a wild shot, and Jordan rebounds. He has Pippen. The Bulls have pulled away to a 15-point lead with 4.5 remaining in the third. Maguire. And a loose ball foul called on the Pistons. Oh, now they say a traveling violation. It will be Chicago ball. With 4:26 remaining in this third quarter. Vinnie Johnson getting set to come on. Will Perdue will check in a moment. Phil Jackson staying with Bill Cartwright after he picked up the fourth foul. And he's been able to get away with it. Dumars called for the push. Here comes Perdue, and now Cartwright will sit down. Michael Jordan, 7 for 12 for his 18. And again, a long afternoon for Joe Dumars.
Well, not only Joe Dumars, their entire Piston defense, because Jordan is just splitting that defense, making it so tough for guys to help on Jordan and still recover to their man. And another thing I'm noticing on the Piston offensive end, the fact that they've reached the stage now where they're talking about, I can do it. You're not seeing 2 and 3 extra passes. You're seeing 1 catch, 1 pass. That happens a lot of times when you're trying to catch up.
And that was the story in game 1, where the Detroit Pistons took a number of bad shots. The Bulls 77 and the Pistons 61. This is the biggest lead of the day. Sally with a hard driving move, and he'll go to the line.
Well, I think you're going to see that the press is working as far as the Bulls are concerned. They wanted Sally to handle the ball. They just didn't want Will Perdue to foul him. Will was too slow getting over there because they didn't feel Sally could make the play off the dribble. What they're trying to do with their press, as they've done in the entire series, keep the ball out of Joe Dumars' hands, keep it out of Isaiah Thomas's hands or Vinnie Johnson. Make one of the forwards handle the basketball.
Perdue just picked up his 4th. Well, the Detroit Pistons came into this season looking for a 3rd straight NBA crown. Trying to become the 3rd team to do it, to join the Lakers and the Celtics, the old Minneapolis Lakers of the 1950s, Boston Celtics of the 60s. Difficult regular season because of all the injuries suffered. Michael Jordan now with 21. And then in the playoffs, Detroit knocked off Atlanta in 5, defeated Boston in a tough 6-game series, winning it with the overtime sparked by the injury hit Isaiah Thomas. He had missed a couple of games because of a sprained right foot. And now they are looking at a Chicago Bulls club that is attempting to sweep them to end the season. Scottie Pippen has 20, and the Bulls now lead 81 to 64. And that would be sweet revenge for a Chicago team that was knocked out of the playoffs the last 3 years by the Pistons. Twice in the Eastern Conference Final. Sally called for his 4th.
You're going to see here, Jordan's going to give the Pistons a little help here. He goes up for the rebound. He tips it in for him. He's trying to help them on their end. Offensively, the Pistons are struggling so badly. Defensively, I think the Pistons can get back in the game, Marv. But offensively, I don't know where it's going to come from.
Well, Chuck Daly now looking to shuffle, and he is about to insert William Bedford, who has seen very little action during the playoffs. 22 points for Jordan. And here's Bedford replacing Edwards. Edwards leaves with 14.
William Bedford is
capable of scoring some points. He likes to shoot the basketball facing the basket more than in a post-up position. So I'm sure if he gets the ball in his area, he will take the shot off of Purdue.
William Bedford, originally a first-round pick of the Phoenix Suns. Made it back from drug problems. Started on several occasions during the regular season. Plus of all the injuries suffered up front by the Pistons. Johnson.
Yes.
Bulls 83. And the Pistons 66, just under 3 minutes to go in the third. Light pressure being shown here by Detroit. And a 20-second timeout called by the Bulls. 2 minutes, 42 seconds remaining. In the third, they have now changed to a full timeout. So we'll take a break with the Bulls up by 17. A reminder, tomorrow the NBA playoffs continue on NBC in prime time. It'll be game number 5 of the Western Conference Finals. The LA Lakers and the Portland Trailblazers. Yesterday, a 116-95 win for the Lakers. Portland's worst loss of the season. Tomorrow night, Dick Enberg, Steve Jones will bring it to you. Pistons have led in this series for only 8 minutes and 38 seconds, and they were helped by 5 minutes of the lead here today. Craig Hodges just did beat the 24-second buzzer, but Pippen able to get it back.
It's the quickness, and not only the quickness of their feet, the quickness of their hands. Really good athletes.
Now Paxson, back for Livingston. Sally on the rebound. As we approach 2 minutes remaining in the third, it's the Bulls by 17. They're hoping to make it a 4-game sweep of the defending champs. Reach-in foul, says Mike Mathis.
And Will Purdue says, I can't get a break. I'm too young to get a break in this league. I thought I made a good steal.
That's 5 on Purdue. Bulls over the foul limit. Marv Albert with Phoenix Suns coach Cotton Fitzsimmons and Ahmad Rashad. Cotton sitting in for the czar of the tennis gridiron, Mike Fratello, who is attending his daughter Christy's high school graduation in Atlanta. Congratulations to Christy. As we mentioned the other day, Mike like to take some time off during the championship round. I know you're available, Cotton.
I am available. My team is not playing today.
I noticed that. Paxson working against Johnson. Isaiah caught on a mismatch with Pippen. Purdue had it knocked away. 3 on the 24, and the Bulls maintain possession. And Pippen unleashes. That is a 24-second violation.
And that has not happened very often. The Bulls have always been able to get a shot at
it. Bulls with an 83-67 lead. Again, the whistle. And it's called on Detroit. Offensive foul on William Bedford. Coming up on 1 minute to go in this third quarter. Bulls in the midst of the weave, setting up Paxson. Livingston. And the foul call. Again, the quick leaping Cliff Livingston getting inside, and he was hit by Joe Dumars. Mark Aguirre starting the game instead of Dennis Rodman. Started off quickly, but did not get many shot opportunities, and sitting down with 9 points. Dumars now departs, and here's Rodman. Dennis Rodman not getting much playing time today. Only 7 minutes, and has not scored the last 2 games. Bulls 85 and the Pistons 67. And the light pressure by Chicago. Will it count? No! Will not get the call on the continuation.
That was a sensational shot by Isaiah Thomas.
Foul called on Paxson.
Look at Isaiah drive. A block is called, but what is it? Over the corner of the backboard. That's something that we do in the horse game. H-O-R-S-E. Beautiful shot.
And call the swish.
Can't score from back here.
Isaiah Thomas, the MVP of last year's NBA Championship Series. Well, let's see. Step on the line, yeah.
If you go back to the horse game, he'll be the champion. That is the best shot we've had today.
Bulls 85 and the Pistons 68. Here's Armstrong with a nice setup. And Cliff Livingston with another good job off the bench. He has 8 points.
Well, their bench has played outstanding.
Thomas fires. Bulls by 17. Delay of game called on Detroit. 23 and 3/10 seconds remaining in this third quarter. Things did settle down from the physical point of view in the third. There were 5 technical fouls assessed in the first half, 4 against Detroit, and 1 on Chicago. Beer, Rodman, Paxson, Chuck Daly, assistant coach Brendan Suhr all hit with the tees. 6 and 8/10 seconds left in this third quarter. High man for the Bulls, Michael Jordan with 23. Scottie Pippen has 20. Here is Hodges. Livingston gets it off. After 3 at the Palace, the Chicago Bulls 87 and the Detroit Pistons 70. We'll be back with the fourth quarter after these messages and a word from your local station. Well, back at the Palace, Michael Jordan is 12 minutes of playing time away from going to the championship round for the first time in his NBA career, a subject that we discussed with Michael.
You know, I got a little spoiled in college. I came in my first year and we actually won a national championship, and ever since then, I had to find out what it really feels like to get to be a champion again. So I guess it would certainly cap off a good career for me if I could win a championship, to see the different stages of actually proceeding to win.
Good career, huh?
Not bad.
Good, yeah.
Yes, not a bad career. Dennis Rodman gets credit for that field goal. The goaltend indicated. So the Bulls with an 87-72 lead on the Pistons as we get underway in the fourth quarter. Jordan and Armstrong in the backcourt. Grant up front with Williams and Pippen. Jordan changed his mind and was able to find Grant.
Well, it's been that way all day long, Marv. Jordan is just looking. He'll score if he has to, but he would rather feed the ball off.
And Pippen able to feed it off to Jordan.
Turnabout is fair play, and their defense right now is doing it. The Bulls' energy level is high. The Piston energy level is down.
It's a 19-point Chicago lead. That was assist number 10 for Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan has 9 along with 25 points. Benford played by Williams. Able to find Sally. And Pippen knocked it out. Enjoying the moment, but the basket will count. The Bulls by 17 with a minute 20 gone by in the fourth quarter. Here's Pippen. And the activity underneath leading to the foul on Sally. That is number 5 for John Sally.
You can see Jordan there posting up. Looked like he was going to shoot, dropped it off to Horace Grant. Horace, of course, laid it in. You know, the start of this championship team really occurred. Jordan cashes it in there, but really occurred the year that they drafted Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen. These two guys, along with Jordan already being there, really put it together. And this is why they do have a legitimate chance to win a championship. These two young players have really come a long way, Mark.
And you see the combination of Jordan and Pippen. They have provided destruction of the Detroit Pistons once again here today. And the other plus for the Bulls, the emergence of the bench during the course of this season. And you have to also go back to the acquisition of Bill Cartwright, who's come up very strong in the playoffs. Here's Jordan. And again, got the hop. 27 for Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was very outspoken concerning the Charles Oakley-Bill Cartwright deal when it was made. He was a critic of the trade, but he's admitted that he was wrong. That was a three-point attempt. Rodman. Oh, tough defensive sequence again by the Bulls. Shot clock is down to 4. Here's Rodman. Michael Jordan often talks about the stability that Cartwright has provided in the middle, plus the fact that Will Perdue has come a long way this season. And the combination of Cartwright and Perdue done a nice job, in particular with the situation these days in the NBA where you can win it. It counts, yes, and the foul. You don't have to have the super center.
You know, if you had to have the super center, there wouldn't be many champions.
Timeout has been taken. 3 minutes gone by in the fourth. The Bulls lead by 20.
Miller Genuine Draft presents #1 draft choices.
And today's Miller #1 draft pick, Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah left college early after leading the Hoosiers of Indiana to the 81 NCAA championship. He was the second player selected behind current teammate Mark Aguirre, who was taken with the top pick by the Dallas Mavericks. Isaiah is the Pistons' all-time leader in steals and assists. And he is number 3 on the Pistons' all-time scoring list behind Bob Lanier and Dave Bing. A reminder, at the end of today's telecast, we'll select the Miller Genuine Draft Player of the game. Dennis Rodman with 6 points. And the Bulls now lead 96-78, 8:45 remaining in the fourth quarter. Chicago Bulls looking to go to the NBA championship round for the first time in the history of the franchise. They finished 61-21 during the regular season, best record in the history of the club, and try to put the 4-game sweep on the Detroit Pistons. Thomas lost it. Livingston guns it down. Here's Scott Williams. Again, the Bulls by 20 points. Chuck Daly has Vinnie Johnson and Isaiah Thomas in the backcourt. William Bedford going to the sweeping hook. Thomas. And the loose ball foul is called once again. Horace Grant taking a shot. Rodman picks up the foul, his third. Well, there's still 7:58 remaining in this one, but unless there is a miraculous turnaround by Detroit, as you look at this roster, this is a older ball club. I would think Detroit general manager Jack McCloskey will have to wait and see what would develop during the playoffs. I would think, though, he has been thinking about a few transactions during the offseason. Bedford called for the foul, then apologizes to Livingston.
Well, I think, that they have to look at the club. Anytime you have 9 guys 30 years or older. And first of all, let's say this team, it's not over yet, but this team's had a good run. 3 straight years into the NBA Finals, and they've done their job. But now I think they do need some young blood in here to help these guys along. And I'm sure Jack will do what he's always done, do his very best to try to improve it. It's a little more difficult today, Marv, to make deals than it used to be. The salary cap is involved, and also you got to have somebody that somebody else wants.
Scott Williams had it knocked away. 7:34 remaining in the fourth quarter. Jack McCloskey has been very successful wheeling and dealing. There are some who believe that he will bring Charles Shackelford in as one possible move. He's been playing in Europe. Rodman off the scramble. Little takedown. And the foul is called on Jordan.
It was called on Jordan, and he was trying to help Rodman up. And Rodman finally allowed him to come up. Michael lost the ball off the dribble, but look at the Bulls hustle. Floor, Cliff Livingston, then Jordan, but he also fouls in order to get there.
Thomas is back, along with Dumars, Aguirre, Rodman, Bedford up front. Dumars now 3 for 9 from the field. And he was called for that foul. Scott Williams shaken up.
I believe, Marv, he's lost the feeling in the arm. Dumars grabbed him by the arm, and whether it's the crazy bone on the elbow or what, but he's lost a little feeling.
Let's go over to Ahmad.
All right, Scotty Williams has had a bad shoulder, and he's going to have it operated on right after the end of the season. His shoulder socket just came out, and it was put back in right there at midcourt. Back to you, Marv.
All right, Ahmad, and apparently Scott Williams is all right and heads to the foul line.
And it did not affect his free throw shooting at all. I'm afraid if I had to put mine back in at midcourt, I'd look to Phil Jackson. Phil, take me out of here. We're up by 21.
And I know you're tougher than that.
I don't know if I'm up by 21 or not, if I am.
Dwyer met by Livingston, then double team. The Bulls lead it 99-78. Bedford stripped and fouled. Scott Williams picks it up, and a timeout is being called with 6:44 remaining in the fourth quarter. Chicago Bulls aiming for a 4-game sweep.
Hey, welcome back to the Palace here at Auburn Hills. I'm Ahmad Rashad, joined by General Manager Jack McCloskey. And if you're the defending champion and you're swept in a series like this, which is a very real possibility at this point, I guess the first question comes up is age. Are you concerned about your team's age?
Well, we played, we're still one of the Final Four in basketball. We won over 50 games. Age, as you know, is just a number.
All right, Jack.
If your body is good, you're right. We've had 5 great, wonderful years with this team, and I'm proud as a devil of it.
You put this championship team together. Where do you go from here?
We gotta try to build a team that's better than the one we had.
Rebuild, then.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jack. Good luck to you. Marv.
All right, Ahmad. Also should be pointed out that this has been a Detroit team that has been hard hit by injury this season.
And the good thing about it, they haven't complained about those injuries. They're just going on and playing, and I'm sure they won't take anything away from Chicago's win here today.
It's the Bulls 99 and the Pistons 80 with 6:33 remaining in the fourth quarter. Foul on Bedford. That is his fourth. And Horace Grant will go to the line. He is 2 for 5 from the line. Bill Laimbeer sitting down after picking up his third foul. He has 11 points, 6 rebounds. Although Isaiah Thomas has not had a sparkling game, he is the high man for Detroit with 16. Isaiah, one of several Pistons playing hurt. Chicago led by Jordan with 29. Pippen has 21, and Grant with 16. It's the Bulls 101, and the Pistons 80. Here's Rodman from downtown. And back comes B.J. Armstrong on a 3-on-2. Pippen. Pippen going for the steal on the double-up, and the foul has been called.
It's been a tough afternoon for this guy, and I know he's thinking about a lot of different things right now. It's a terrible position to be in, but he has a lot to be proud of. He's the Olympic coach, and he's taking these guys to 2 straight championships.
And as we mentioned during the course of Showtime, posing the question, Bedford just lost it to Pippen. Armstrong gets it back out. Have to wonder about the coaching future of Chuck Daly. He had a decision to make last year. He turned down a lucrative retirement as a color commentator for our favorite network and decided to go back with Detroit. Armstrong getting inside. So the Bulls with a 103-80 lead with 5:20 remaining in the fourth quarter.
Well, I know Chuck is disappointed, but he's got a lot to be proud of as far as the Piston team is concerned. But it is time to turn over the reins to somebody else. And I don't mean the coaching reins. I mean the championship reins. And it's going to be either the Chicago Bulls, the Blazers, or the LA Lakers.
Well, Chuck Daly does have a 15-day window following the completion of the season where he can make the decision whether to remain as coach of the Pistons or go elsewhere, but it cannot be as a coach of another club. As you mentioned, he will be the head coach of the 1992 U.S. Olympic men's basketball team, which will compete in Barcelona, Spain. Here's Pippen, fouled by Thomas. But you feel that he will be back?
I feel that he'll be back unless some circumstances come up in those 2 weeks that Chuck says, you know, I don't think I can do anything else in Detroit. I need to do something else. And Chuck is now clearing the bench. And all we have to do is listen to the crowd.
Very emotional scene as Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars were taken out of the game. Bill Lane-Beer ran off the bench to hug both of his teammates. The Pistons with the indication that it is all over. A great run has come to a close. With 4:38 remaining in this fourth quarter. Now Isaiah runs out to center court to hug Mark Aguirre. Very emotional scene for the Detroit Pistons.
And it's richly deserved because they have been there, they have done the job, they have stuck together through a lot of adversity, even in their locker room. Those guys are battlers.
And a long-standing ovation by this crowd of 21,000 at the Palace of Auburn Hills. A long thank you for the 2 championships. The applause continues.
And of course, while that was going on, Michael Jordan also is gone to the bench so he can rest those knees.
The Chicago Bulls will await the winner of the LA Laker Portland Trail Blazer series. Timeout has been called. Pistons calling for time. The Bulls now lead it 105-80. And now Vinnie Johnson being greeted at the bench. So all the important parts of the last 2 championship years getting their due from the crowd and from their teammates.
And as I said earlier, rightly so. But, you know, honestly, they just could not come up with enough offense to win a game in this series. I made a statement earlier, Marv. I didn't expect them to beat the Atlanta Hawks. I certainly didn't expect them to beat the Boston Celtics, but they did both.
I'm surprised that you felt they would not beat the Hawks. Well, they had a tough time, obviously, with them as it extended to 5, and Boston, despite all their injuries, provided a tough matchup. Well, Vinnie Johnson remaining on the floor following that timeout. The Bulls now lead 105-82.
Well, this was a beat-up team. I know the Phoenix Suns came in here February 3rd, that early, and they were injured and hurt, and we blew them out on this court. That wasn't the championship team that we were used to facing and lost 4 straight games to. So it was a beat-up team going into the playoffs.
I know the question on Chuck Daly's mind right throughout the season, and he was candid about the fact that Scott Hastings, who just checked in, running for the 3, Purdue on the rebound. He felt that there was a lack of enthusiasm, lack of spirit right throughout the season. No sense of urgency, but you could understand that because he was constantly shuffling lineups. This a team that was hurt right throughout, and they never did get into it, although not bad. They won 50 games.
That's why I thought Chuck did a nice job. He won 50 games in spite of the injuries, and it makes it tough. Now Vinnie Johnson has just pulled up lame and will have to leave the game.
And a timeout has been called with 3:26 to go in the 4th. It's been a nice touch by the fans of the Detroit Pistons here at the Palace as they continue to applaud for the Pistons. Bedford unleashing from downtown as time is running out on this Detroit championship era. The Chicago Bulls are headed to the NBA Finals. Here's Stacey King. Well, Stacey King making his first appearance of the series. Dennis Hobson has checked in for the first time. John Sally was fouled just under 3 minutes remaining in this 4th quarter. Well, looking ahead with the Bulls to go up against either the Los Angeles Lakers or the Portland Trailblazers on the season series. They split with the Lakers. They went 0-2 against Portland, losing in Chicago by 8 and losing by 13 out in Portland.
But I don't think they care who they play. They are just happy to be in the finals, and whoever they play, they'll be focused in. They're playing outstanding basketball, and I can assure you right now, the Lakers on top of Portland 3-1, which shocks me. But they're playing outstanding, led by Magic Johnson.
Portland shooting only 44% yesterday. They shot 37% on Friday night. And we'll have Game 5 in prime time tomorrow, starting at 9 Eastern Time, right here on NBC. Well, Purdue able to get to it. Hobson, being played by Sally. Hobson to the left hand, rebounded by King. Sally returning to Bedford, and the foul is called.
You don't see many 7-foot point guards. William Bedford here at the garbage time, handling the ball in the backcourt, bringing it down, passing it behind his back, getting the ball back for a layup here.
Foul on Purdue, so that is number 6 on Will Purdue. Chicago Bulls against the Blazers and the Lakers, led by, guess who, Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. John Paxson played well in the 2 games against the LA Lakers. So Will Purdue departs after picking up number 6, and William Bedford goes to the line.
Well, you know, it's interesting. The way that Jordan and Pippen handle the basketball and everything, I think I would enjoy playing with them because they're going to make you look good. They're going to penetrate. They're going to force the action and get you the ball if you're open.
And both unselfish players constantly looking for teammates, and the result today, Pippen with 10 assists, and Jordan came up with 9. Bulls lead 107-85, and that foul will put Hobson at the foul line, and today's Miller Genuine Draft Player of the Game. and who certainly enjoyed developments this year in contrast to the migraine headache of a year ago. Scottie Pippen of the Chicago Bulls. And on behalf of Scottie, NBC, and Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. 23 points, 10 assists, 3 steals for Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan also had an outstanding day, 29 points. So the Bulls with a 108-85 lead. Tough crowd, they're chanting, "Go LA." Not accepting the defeat very well as Henderson hits on his first field goal, and the Bulls now lead 108-87. Hodges attempted the three. Livingston on the putback. Cliff Livingston with 10 points. We're down to 1:45 remaining in the fourth quarter as the Chicago Bulls make their way to the NBA Final, and they have swept right through the competition. They beat the Knicks in 3 straight, winning the first game by 41 points, knocked off the Sixers in 5, and now Phil Jackson and his Chicago Bulls about to put the Pistons away in 4. And what a job by Phil Jackson and his staff. Phil in his second year as head coach of the Bulls.
Just an outstanding job by Phil. You know, he knew he had a good ball club going in, but to put him on this level is something else. And you know, Phil, he sits over there like Mr. Cool. He doesn't get too upset right now. He's heads down and everything. I'm not certain he knows he wins. I see he shakes hands right there with one of his coaches, and I'm sure he feels good today. You do know he played on the outstanding Knick teams, so he knows what it's like to be in a championship.
He was an assistant under Doug Collins for 2 years. Phil credited with much of the Bulls' defensive improvement. Had a 13-year career in the NBA, 11 with the New York Knicks, including the 72-73 championship season. He was with the club 69-70, but did not play in the championship, sidelined by injury. And I'd have to say he was not a likely choice for one who would go on to the coaching ranks.
Well, I don't know about that, but he really is an outstanding coach. He did a nice job in the CBA and has just done an outstanding job here with the Bull organization.
I say that because his interests were elsewhere. Did not appear to be interested in coaching, and Phil Jackson and the Bulls headed for the championship as we come up on 1 minute remaining in this fourth quarter. Stacey King. Well, Stacey King with his second bucket, and the Bulls now lead 112-89. Hastings. Bedford on the recovery, gets it back to Hastings. Scott Hastings intent to put one through. That's his first bucket. We're down to 45 seconds left. King with the one-on-one move on Tree Raleigh. And Hastings able to get to it. That's a leg block. Kicked by Thompson. Tomorrow, the NBA playoffs continue right here on NBC. Game 5 of the Western Conference Final. James Worthy and the Lakers, Magic Man, and the whole crew going up against Clyde the Glide Drexler and the Portland Trailblazers. Hastings hits for 3. Dick Enberg, Steve Jones will be on hand. And that'll be 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Lakers and the Blazers in game number 5. How about the turnaround by Vlade Divac?
I think, Michael, that Magic Johnson really got him fired up about it and really did the job. Well, I think the crowd is cheering here for the Bulls right now, and the Pistons as they leave the court.
I don't think they're cheering for the Bulls, but I think the greeting is for the Pistons as they are headed off as time runs down. Pistons wasting no time in getting out of here. Now a timeout was called. They left the bench, although there's 7 and 9/10 seconds remaining. The Pistons just left. That's a three-pointer. With 4 and 9/10 seconds remaining. Isaiah Thomas, get him out of Jack McCloskey. With another emotional hug. That's been the story here in the fourth quarter. The Detroit Pistons heading back to the locker room. Their season has concluded, while the Chicago Bulls advance to the NBA championship round. They will go against the winner between the Lakers and the Trailblazers. Let's go to Ahmad.
All right, Michael, for the last 3 years, it has been Detroit that has gone on. Let me be the first to hand you this. And also, it had to be a bit of sweet revenge winning here.
Well, you know, I think you have to give a credit to Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, my supporting cast. These guys played extremely well. I think for the city of Chicago and for the organization, this is a big step for us. And, you know, we can only go and move up. You know, right now, we're looking forward to the finals and trying to do our best.
Now, you mentioned before the game that you wanted to stamp out Detroit and stop that kind of play. What was that about?
Well, we just wanted to play clean basketball, even though they were going to try to, you know, maybe dirty it up. But we were going to keep our composure and play the game of basketball like we know how to play. And I think we held our heads. We really didn't let them get us out of our game, and we kept our poise and did what we had to do.
All right, I know it's quick, but who do you prefer in the Western Conference, Portland or L.A.?
Well, when you look at L.A., you know, we have the home court advantage if we face them, as well as, you know, if we play against Portland, then we have to go out to Portland. Either way, we made it here. It was a goal that we set at the beginning of the season. And, you know, right now, I think everybody's preferring L.A. because of the home court advantage.
All right, congratulations and good luck in the finals.
Thanks, babe.
All right, back to you, Marv.
All right, Ahmad, so the Bulls make it a sweep of the Pistons. They defeat the Pistons here at the Palace, 115-94. Michael Jordan moves on to the NBA championship round for the first time. We'll be right back.